Hello everyone. In this video I want to talk about something that I'm seeing in companies that I work with as they try to adopt FinOps practices within their organizations. Now, FinOps is mature enough, although it's still obviously a very new area, but it's mature enough that many of you have seen in one form or another, probably in some presentation or a video, very much like this one, this lifecycle graphic, which shows the various stages of a FinOps practice. Inform, that is to say, being able to have visibility into your spend and allocation. Operating, creating a method and a culture of continuous improvement and operations, and optimizing via improving your utilization status and your rates. So this is all very, very good, and many of us are familiar with this. We're also familiar with this, again, from the FinOps Foundation, that shows the framework, which shows the principles, the personas, the maturity phases, and of course, as we've already seen, this life cycle. So all of this is quite good, and I would say that it's actually fairly straightforward. What I'm seeing, however, are situations in which this is where companies are getting stuck. They know that their costs are rather high, and so they're looking at these costs, but they're not really taking any action to operate in a better fashion, and they're not taking enough action to optimize, taking advantage of various rate plans and so forth that enable or rather improve your spending situation and optimize it with business goals in mind. So informing typically comes down to taking a look at, say, on Azure, the native cost analysis tooling, or making an investment in a tool such as Cloudability or VMware Cloud Health. And that's great. You can see what you're doing, what you're dealing with. You can see what your cloud spend is, particularly if you've done a good job of tagging. But what's missing is, as I said earlier, an improvement in your operational status, and also that you have not developed an optimization plan. Now, in this graphic, I show what I try to do when I work with customers, which is create a cost-aware design workflow. This is tailored for Azure. That's why the pricing calculator is mentioned, although there are corresponding tools for the other cloud platforms, certainly for AWS and for GCP. And in this workflow, what you see is that everything starts with the business case, because the entire purpose of the technology deployment is, of course, to serve some business function. A reviewing of architectural solutions and examples. Now, in the case of Azure, there's an architecture catalog, and this is, I'm sure, also true of other platforms. Using pricing calculator to have an idea of what the spend is likely to be, the deployment of the solution, the visibility area. This is where cost management tooling, whether it's built in or third party, comes into play. And then the creation of a life cycle. So in a way, you could think of this graphic, which puts a little more meat on the bones specific to Azure, as being a reflection of this. Now, what's missing, of course, from my graphic is culture. But I think we can assume, or rather than assume, let me just say it out loud, that by doing this phase, you, of course, as a technologist, have to work with the business, and the reverse is also true. Business people are working with technologists to determine what the actual business case is, and then the deployment and the architecture flows from that, and then you create an entire loop in which you improve the position. You might have started an architecture as purely an IaaS situation, and then in order to optimize it, you took the steps to re-architect it to take advantage of serverless and platform services and other things that can be done. So the takeaway from this video is, although it's obviously vital as part of your FinOps lifecycle to have data about your spend, that is to say, visibility into your spend, if you neglect these other areas of the FinOps lifecycle, you are only partially along the way to building a FinOps practice. Thank you for watching, and good luck with your FinOps efforts.